For English subtitles, press the subtitle button. For the English subtitles, press the subtitle button. Of course, a color variant. How else would it be with Kevin? T-blood python, so the python, Cordus prongosmai, or I believe now just prongosmai, T albino. Super pretty animal, my intro animal for today. By the way, the Cordus, so the blood pythons in general can really be great, gentle terrarium animals, as you can see here. Sometimes a bit wrongly labeled as aggressive or something. My intro animal for today. Otherwise, there's another great episode with Kevin. Really quite interesting. I would even say inspiring. Check it out. It's going to be really good.
Since when do you work with the boeleni? So is our use, and I think you started many years ago.
Yes, I love bonus pythons, Victoris socios. Come here. We'll take you in the other room.
This is an adult female?
Yes, this is an adult female Boelens python. And obviously, probably like most other people, we think Boelens pythons are ridiculous and wonderful and a bucket list species. They're definitely challenging. And they're challenging to the point of actually getting good stock. If you're even lucky enough to get them, getting good, healthy stock. Catching animals that are all strong animals. Catching strong animals means that you have to pay a lot of money. And slowly but surely, I have assembled a group of different lines of strong animals and raised them from small babies. And you end up with this wonderful age. And she is now about 6 years old. And she has never given birth and is now coming to the conditions. We would actually operate them, but I love them. They are such a challenge. They are such a challenge. They are such a challenge. We do not always have the conditions they need. They can tolerate the cooler temperatures. That is why they are black. They live in the highlands. It is even said that there is snow there, but it will certainly be cold. They spend a lot of time underground, so they are very similar to a timber rattlesnake. Like our timber rattlesnake that we own locally, they spend a lot of time underground, and many of our animals are black. They are black because they contain all the infrared energy, the sun's rays, and these things are just not different. When they are babies, they are red. As babies, they really want to eat evil. They are obsessed with evil. So I talk to the babies and then put them on the horses, because horses are what we want to fill these guys with. They are very restricted in the temperature of the meal. The meal has to be really hot. These young ones are semi-arboreal. When they are small, I keep them like a green python or a jungle carpet. They will spend a lot of time on their horses. But as they grow larger, they will still be arboreal, but one is always concerned that they might hurt themselves. And another little thing is that they can also be a bit cannibalistic. I lost 2 men to a woman. It was terrible. And I didn't know who it was the first time. And then the second time when I caught her doing it.
She killed the men.
She killed the men and spread them. Okay, just out of the blue. You know, it also actually does that as Papuan pythons. I've bred Papuan pythons 3 times, and putting them together is always like, oh my God, you know, what's it gonna like? Because they'll attack each other. They could be together for a week and a half, and then one day you walk into an explosion and they're in this horrible giant ball and they're incredibly strong. And I'd say that Boelens pythons are very closely related to the Papuans.
Let's have a look for a smaller one. See the babies. Okay.
So this is a little baby Boelens python. So when they're born, they are even redder than this. And they're small, almost like a carpet python. And even though their overall size is more significant than a carpet, the babies are quite small, so it has a good amount of the size of a baby.
So is this a few months old?
No. This is in January and March. Yes. So it is a few months, about half a year. A few months for me are 3-4 months maybe. That's a lot of work to achieve that. Yes, there you are. But now it eats red. Another thing is that I try not to overfill them. They have an ultra fluid metabolism. They produce so much food, so I fill them 1 to 2 times a week, and that is what it eats.
So once or twice a week?
Yes, once to twice.
But that's a lot, right? At least for Europeans. In Europe, we fill once a week.
When you look at the metabolism, they produce the whole thing quickly. I mean, this animal eats, and 5 days later it can pump it out, which is quite fast for a python. It's almost like a clover. But I think that has to do with, they are a mountainous species and live in a difficult place. They maximize that.
Maybe this is the time of year when they eat is short. During this period, they have to eat a lot.
Yes, and they want to eat soils. Yes, all these things. But they have a super efficient metabolism. And that is just the point where I can start giving it larger ingredients. I didn't grow them too quickly. I have a variety of different ball pythons, which are a popular species of pet snakes known for their docile nature and manageable size. When it comes to feeding these fascinating reptiles, it's important to consider the size of the prey. Currently, I am feeding them mice, and the size of the mice is crucial for their health and growth. So, what size mice are you feeding now? For my ball pythons, I actually provide them with young mice, which are smaller and easier for them to digest, as well as older mice, which are slightly larger and provide more nutrition. This balanced diet ensures that my ball pythons receive the necessary nutrients they need to thrive and grow healthily.
Okay.
This is a litter mate. It is hard to understand how long the animal is when you put them all together. That could come up in about 3 years. It is really at the point where the growth will be exceptional. And believe it or not, to get an animal, let's say I had a reticulated python, and the reticulated python is larger than it was when it was born. But if I take a reticulated python and the amount of food I actually need to give it to get it that big, I have to give much more food to these ball pythons to make them that big. It is absolutely crazy how much food it actually needs. I don't know why, but it's a completely different thing. That's a lot of food to get that big. I mean, it's probably 3 times as much food to get that big as a retic. As a retic, yes, it's crazy. Okay, that is just such a, yes, beautiful, beautiful species that poses many questions for us. They are definitely very intelligent. They know you very well. They often get very burned. If you spend a lot of time with them and put them on the bed, they get very burned from what they eat. And it has to be exactly the right temperature. I never eat live. Since they were born, they have never, ever eaten a live vegetable. In their life, everything has always been broken.
Okay. What? Do you see a development?
When they are young, they want to eat quail. And I don't eat live quail. And certainly too small to eat them, like a chicken. So I started, believe it or not, like roosters and quail, like a small frozen quail. And then I switched from that to plants, but I never offered them live plants. And I just, like none of my ball python, and it's a good little group, none of them have eaten live. No bites, nothing.
Uh-huh. Now we come to the water monitor.
I love the water monitor. I have many of these beautiful animals.
That's the Salvatore, right?
Yes. That is a Simbawa locality. This is a hypo-Simbawa. They grow very small and slowly. They break less often than my other Salvatores, but I think I am the only person who produces pure Salvatores. What do you mean by less often? Yes, well, best. Not even once a year. Once or twice a year. That's all you will get. Yes, even twice a year, if you're lucky. Okay. While some Salvatores grow 3 to 4 times a year, yes, that depends on the locality. So I specialize in the smaller places. I have noticed that some smaller places are not very prologistic, but you can see this wonderful little brain. When these people come out of the egg, they are a bit crazy. These are the Simbawas. This is F1 here. But that is a very demanding, wonderful animal, and I make good friends with them. And you do it to set it up.
And the color is hypomelanistic, so with the recessive hypoethylene.
I don't know if I would like to perhaps call it recessive. My original line was really exceptional for me, which I started with. And I got this Hypo EE1 that looks much better than the usual Simbawas. So let's just call them Hypo Simbawa. But we fried them together and we have this really, some are just fantastically green, simply great. But I only won one. And you see the teeth flying. This frequency of the teeth is flying. This animal totally enjoys it. And you hit it on the fresh. It loves it. That's it. One wants to have an animal that is not interested in bites, always. And then I can bring it with a T positive. Do you want to come here? I know. And these often change as they grow and mature as they get older.
This is indeed a T plus.
T plus, yes. So tyrosine A is positive. It still produces a bit of melanin, which is not as much melanin as our amelanistic albinos. The problem with amelanistic albinos is that they are vision independent to a certain extent because they have no melanin in their pupils. So that affects vision. They probably don't see with details. I think a T positive or even a coral bino, that is the T negative and T positive albinos are produced at the same locus site. So this is the culmination of the T negative and T positive genes. Since there is a little melanin in the genes, the input is also very good.
So when you breed T negative and T positive albinos, you get
a coral albino?
Coral.
Coral. Coral looks very similar to the others. This is a chloral albino. They are very different. They look almost the same. When they are babies, they may look a bit more exceptionally positive. When I first made them, it was very difficult to tell who was who. But with the monitors next to their dirt, I am very interested in the relationships. These animals recognize you by sight, by voice, and by sounds. And you can have an incredibly binding relationship with one of these. It's almost like an African burrowing creature, but it is actually a lizard. Okay, they are just absolutely crazy and incredible. And as I said, we are about 6 generations removed from the wild, making small changes. But the Varanus Salvator, Asian water monitors, are just one of my most enjoyable species to work with because they have small brains. We can play with the big albinos if you want.
Yes, that would be... So you have this hypo, the T negative.
Yes, so I make black demons, I make witches, I want to make the white witches, I make T positives.
What do you mean by witches? How do you know that?
They are the neighboring hour of white demons. I'm just talking about the different genes that I brought. So, a melanistic albino T positives, a melanistic T positives. I have sulfurs, black dragons, simbas, ivory, hypocelebensis, celebensis, madura. Let me think.
I don't know if I perhaps know the names or not, you know.
The community doesn't know, but I have many waiting engines, and you have these people with whom you can do anything. Because when they socialize and know where you are, you can have a good relationship. They don't fight. You don't have to worry. And they are just wonderful. What age are they now? Don't believe me, but they are about 2 years old. So these are all smaller grasses. How many times do you drive them per week? 2 to 3 times a week. On the horses? Horses? Eggs? A lot of meat? A lot of meat? A few fish? But yes, horses, meat, eggs, and fish.
Oh my God, this is truly unbelievable.
So that is just T negative.
Super, super smart and wonderful.
How much? 40 kilos, 50 kilos?
I don't know. I'm not trying to make him big. I removed all my big sticks. He is about 12 years old. He is a big boy. That's it. That's why I love him. You smell other monitors on my hand. He is excited. But you can have a really wonderful long-term relationship with one of these boys. It's an urban dinosaur.
But I think from the eyes, it looks like he is concentrating with his eyes.
Oh, yes, he can see. But I'm just saying they are slightly sensitive, the T negative, compared to the T positive.
Do you give them UV light?
No, I do not give them UV light.
And not the others either.
You can. I can't, because the problem is that we flush the cheese with water and we like to turn off the light pumps. Okay, and the power suns, the ZoomEd power suns, which we love. I mean, they will love that, but they are expensive, like $40, $50, $60. Yes, turn them off.
Okay.
Yes, so it's not something that I just...
It looks like they don't totally need it. You sublimated it.
No, I sublimated it. Yeah, I use the D3. Same with D3.
Okay, Okay, yes. Here's a nice outro with Kevin, the albino water monitor, and me. Thanks, Kevin, for showing me around your beautiful animals. Also for the, I think it's kind of inspiration about the, I know that, no. Indeed, some people will say why one must trade the animals. Perhaps, in fact, actually, it is a question worth pondering. I am truly grateful to you, Kevin, for your invaluable support and assistance in helping me achieve this significant milestone of getting my work published. Thank you so much for your guidance and encouragement. That was an insider. I tried hard to get a publication with you. We have known each other for 30 years, and I had to go back via email.
I was sorry.
Come on, no problem. Thank you, Kevin, and see you soon. Hopefully not in another 8 or 9 years.
Yes, see you soon. Yes, we'll talk. Bye.